Like, we're going to show because we've like got some fucking resilience at this point. So yeah, anyway, and so you don't want to compare yourself. So there's a story of a monk and he's living on this hilltop and the villagers look at him and a storm blows through and it blows down his whole hut and the villagers are like, "Oh no, such bad luck." And the monk looks at them and he goes, "Good luck, bad luck, same, same." And then a wealthy merchant a few months later, so the monk just living under a tree with no hut because it got blown down. And a few months later, a wealthy merchant comes through the area and he sees the monk in all his equanimity and peacefulness. And he's like, "I'm going to build you a new hut." So the merchant pays for a new hut to be built for the monk. And the villagers are like, "Oh my goodness, what good luck." And the monk looks at them and he goes, "Good luck, bad luck, same, same." And so when you could think of this as like your little Substack growth. Cause like if I bet a lot of you are like this, I've been looking at my little line, it goes like this, like people leave, people come, it's like a wave. But then I'm like, well, when I've gone hiking, don't the mountains sort of look like that? You're like going up and over or like when you're on a boat, you're going like this. So I'm like, of course, I'm sure there are some that like their growth trajectory looks like that. But like, you know what? That's not my journey. My journey's this going in and out of the valleys. And so I love to think of that story of good luck, bad luck, same, same. I remember one day I was like, it was late at night and I was sort of having a conversation in my mind and I was like moping around. I was like, "I only have 17 subscribers." And all of a sudden my higher self, because I sometimes have this clairaudience, came through and was like, because I had just been outside looking at the moon and I was like, "The moon and I are one. Thank you, moon. Thank you for showing me how to like show up and shine your radiance on me." And I was feeling all peaceful. And then I went inside and I was like, "And I only have 17." And then I heard this voice and it was like, "Venus, be so for real. Like, you just felt the moon inside your heart and you're worried about 17, the number 17." And I had like sort of a good laugh at myself. And I was like, right. Okay. Like from the spiritual perspective, they're like, we don't care if you have 17 billion or, not that there's that many people on the earth, but like 17 million, or if you have 17, like it's not about that. And so I think that the more we can get ourselves back to like what happens in here, that's what's going to happen. Like they always say on your deathbed, it's not about the money in the bank, the people that were going to your whatever. Um, Maybe, am I talking about it? It's a Taoist principle, but it might be this where the story came from. Same, same. Anyway, Dark Prince was asking me something about that story. It's like a Chinese proverb, basically. But, they say on the deathbed, you are, it's about the relationships. It's about the interactions. And after Finn died, I was reading this book about someone who did hypnotherapy, that people that had past life regressions come up sort of spontaneously. This hypnotherapist was trying to heal people by going back to their childhood. And then people started remembering things from their previous life. And then they started remembering the death of their previous life. And then they started talking about what was happening between, like after they died. And so it became known as life between lives therapy. And I got really into it after Finn died because I was obviously wanting to connect to him and what people, patient after patient or client after client after client talked about how, and you've heard this from near-death experiences, people end up right after they die, sometimes when they're in the ER and or their heart stopped for a few minutes or whatever. You've read a lot of stories of these, but what they all say is that they get met by like loved ones and the light and like in a beautiful, peaceful place and their guides are there. And you begin to look at the moments that mattered. Like this has been repeated as what people say happens. And it's not